Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Om Agyanatamirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Gona Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Vaneti Namane Vandeham Bhakti Chakoram Gauranga Nija Preshtitam Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamivanam Namastubhyam Shri Radhe Kanishtitam Rasayana Katam Ritam Sankirtanam Anandaram Goswami Vanam Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Darikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaneti Namane Shri Krishna Nirkatani Sudaksham Madhurya Gunesha Yuktam Varanvaranyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shirasanamami Namo Om Vishnupadaya Kesha Prishtaya Bhutare Shrimate Bhakti Pragyana Keshaveti Namine Attimarcha Charitraya Swashitanam Chapaline Jivaduke Siddhartaya Nama Premadayane Gaurishaya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaika Charine Rupanuga Brivadaya Vinodeti Swarupine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Shtachadeshatarine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Charya Simmarupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaveti Namane Attimarcha Charitraya Swashitanam Chapaline Jivaduke Siddhartaya Shnama Premadayane Gaurishaya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaika Charine Rupanuga Privadaya Vinodeti Swarupine Prabhupadantarangaya Sarva Sadgunashadine Maya Varata Moganaya Virantartavade Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Eti Namane Shri Varshavanavidevi Dvaitaya Kripabde Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayane Prapave Namaha Madhurjvana Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktira Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarine Rupanuga Virurapasadanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshan Vairagya Murtaye Vipranambara Sambhure Dambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Virodaya Sachirananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Virayate Gauravibhava Gumestvam Nirjesta Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Savabhoma Shri Jaganatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatirubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shridhar Kanta Namostute Tapte Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surator Pangun Mama Mandamate Gati Matsava Sapadam Bojoshi Radhamarana Mohanan Divya Vrindaranya Kapadrumada Srimad Nagara Simhasanishto Shri Radha Shri Govinda Devo Preshta Nibi Sevimano Smarami Shrimadasarasarambi Vamshivatatashita Karshandvenu Swane Gopir Gopinata Shestuna Vrindaye Tulasideviaye Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatya Namo Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I'm a Mridanga player. I play Mridanga now. Look at how much I've advanced. Krishna hoite chatumukha Vaya Krishna sevan mukha Brahma hoite nara deramati Narada hoite vyasa Madvaka vyasa dasa Purna pragna padmana bhagavati Nihari madhava vamshe Akshobhya paramahamse Shishaboli angi karakore Akshobhya shishra jaya Tirtaname parichaya Taradase jnana sindhu tohore Taha hoite doya nidhi Taradasya virya nidhi Rajendra oiro taoite Tahara kinkara jaya Damandame parichaya Parampara janabaramohate Jaya Dhammadase Krati Shri Purushatama Jati Sahoite Brahmanya Tirtha Sohori Vyasanti Tatara Dasa Lakshmi Pati Vyasa Dasa Tahoite Madhavendra Puri Madhavendra Puri Vara Shisha Vara Shri Ashvara Nityananda Shri Advaita Vibhu Ishvara Puri Kedanya Gauri Lenya Shri Chaitanya Jagaguru Gaura Mahaprabhu Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Rupa Nuga Jani Rajiva Kana Vishwambara Priyankara Shri Swarupa Damodara Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghunatha Hanatara Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa Krishna Dasa Priya Varandara Dama Seva Para Jalapada Vishwanatha Hasha Vishwanatha Bhakta Satam Banadeva Jagannatha Tana Priya Shri Bhakti Vino Goda Mahabhagavata Vara Shri Gora Kishora Vara Hari Bhajan Nitya Jara Mohara Shiva Shabana Vivara Surya Sevya Seva Pada Tahara Dayitam Dasanama Prabhupada Antaranga Shri Swarupa Rupanuga Shike Shava Bhakati Pragyana Gaudiya Vedanta Vetamaya Varota Mohanta Gaudavani Pracharachada Ama Pracharira Gaudavani Bhakanti Vedanta Swami Pranira Prabhupada Kama Isha Priya Mahajana Vamana Narayana Gaudavani Tade Pranadana Esava Hari Jana Gaurangera Nija Jana Tadera Uchiste Morakama Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Vrindavana Vasi Jato Vaishnavera Gana Pratame Vandana Gori Sabara Charana Nilachara Vasi Jato Mahaprabhu Gana Bhumite Puriya Vando Sabara Charana Navadvipavasi Jato Mahaprabhu Bhakta Sabara Charana Vando Hoyanuraka Mahaprabhu Bhakta Jato Gaurandeshe Sniti Sabara Charana Vando Gaudiya Pranati Jai Deshe Baise Gaurangera Gana Udvabahu Gauri Vando Sabara Charana Hoyachena Hoi Vena Prabhu Jato Dasa Sabara Charana Bando Dante Kori Gasa Brahmanda Todite Shakti Dare Jane Jane Eveda Purane Guna Jaya Jebasune Mahaprabhu Savagana Patita Pavana Tai Love Mui Papi Loi Nusharana Vandana Kodite Mui Kato Shakti Dori Tamo Buri Doshe Mui Damba Matra Kori Tata Pimu Kera Bhagamane Raulasa Dokshakshami Moandame Koroni Jadasa Sava Vansha Siri Hoi Yama Vanda Chute Jagante Dorama Hoi Prema Dana Lute Mane Ravasana Puna Hachirate Hoya Devaki Nandana Dasa Elo Peko Hoya Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Vande Rupa Sanatana Dasara Gunata Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Bhattara Gunata Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedoya Kori Swaparshada Sviya Dama Sahavatori Adyanta Dudaba Prema Kori Baridana Shikaye Sharanagati Vakatera prana Danya Atmani Vedana Gomtrit Vevadana Avasharakshibhe Krishna Vishvasa Balana Bhakti Anukura Matra Gayera Svikara Bhakti Pratikura Bhava Vajanangikara Sharanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejahara Tahara Pratana Shune Shinanda Kumara Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trinakori Dakti Pinora Pade Duparadori Kandiya Kandiya Bore Amito Rama Shikaye Sharanagati Garo He Uttama Jaya Swaparshara Jaya Gaurahari Swaparshara Jaya Gaurahari Jaya Swaparshara Jaya Gaurahari Swaparshara Jaya Gaurahari. Page 86. We'll do it together, all together. Goranga bolite habe Puraka Sharira Hari Hari Bonitena Yane Babinira Haraka Benita Chare Karuna Ibe Samsara Vasana Mora Kabe tu chahabe Vishaya chariya kabe Shurahabe mohana Kabe hamaherabo Shri Vrindavana Rupara Gunata Pade Haibe Akuti Gabe Hamabunja Bose Jagala Viriti Duparagunata Pade Rahumora Sham Yagranakaro Yesada Narotamadasa Jaya Dashinandan Jaya Gaurahari Sachinandan Jaya Gaurahari Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaurahari Sachinandan Jaya Gaurahari. Page 289. Charuvakramandaram Sukanaratnakundalam Suchachitanga Chandanam Namami Nandanandanam Sudika Netra Pankaja Sheki Shekandamurdajam Ananga Koti Mohanam Namami Nandanandanam Sunasika Gramoktikam Swachanda Danta Panktikam Navambudanga Chikanam Namami Nandanandanam Karena Venuranjitam Gati Garindra Ganjitam Tukulapita Shobhanam Namami Nandanandanam Tribanga Deha Sundaram Nakaduti Sudakaram Amuryaratna Bhushanam Namami Nandanandanam Sugandhanga Saurabhamuro Virajikostupam Surashchivatsalanchanam Namami Nandanandanam Vrindavana Sunagaram Vinasanugavasasam Surendra Gavamochanam Namami Nandanandanam Vrajangana Sunayakam Sada Sukha Pradayakam Janmana Pralobhanam Namami Nandanandanam Shri Nandanandanashtakam Pater Yasharayanvita Tared Bhavabdim Dustaram Labetarangriugmakam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Yeah. Gadaka Shoka Harini Prasana Vaktra Pankaje Nikunjambu Vilasini Brajendra Banu Nandini Brajendra Sunu Sangate Kadakarisha Siyamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Ashoka Vriksha Vanari Vetana Mandapastite Prabhala Vala Palava Prabharurangri Komale Parabhaya Spurakode Prabhuta Sampadalaye Kadakarishyasi Amam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Anangaranga Mangala Prasanga Bangura Bruvang Savibramam Sasambramam Triganta Bana Patanam Nirantaram Vashikrita Pratipti Nandanandane Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kakataksha Bhajanam Tadit Suvarna Champaka Pradipta Gaura Vigrahe Mukha Prabha Parasta Koti Sharadendu Mandale Vechitra Chitra Sancharachta Kora Shavalochane Kadakarishyasi Amam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Madon Madati Ovane Pramodam Manam Mandite Priyanuraga Ranjite Pralavelatsa Pandite Ananya Danya Konjaraja Kama Keli Kodire Kadakarishyasi Amam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Ashesha Hava Bhava Dira Hira Hara Bhushite Prabhuta Shata Kumbha Kumbha Kumbi Kumbha Sustani Prashasta Manda Hasya Chona Purna Sokya Sagare Kadakarisham Sihamam Kripa Kataksham Pajanam Nalavalari Tarangaranga Dolate Latagralasyan Dolan Nila Lochana Valokane Galanulan Milan Manogramuga Mohanashite Padakarishyasi Amam Kripa Kataksham Bhajanam Suvarna Malikanchita Drireka Kambukantage Trisutra Mangali Guna Triratna Dipti Didhite Salora Nira Kuntala Prasuna Gucha Gumpite Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Nitamba Bimba kalambamana pushpamekana gunem prashastaratna kinkani kalapamajamanjunem Karindra Shunda Dandikavaroha Sobhagoruke Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Aneka Mantra Nadamanjunu Puraravaskalan Samajaraja Hamsavam Shanikvanati Gaurunde Venola Hema Valari Vidam Vicharu Chankrame Kadakarishyasi Ham Kripakatakshabhajanam Ananta Koti Vishnu Lokanam Rapadmajarchite Adrija Pulomaja Virincha Javara Prade Apada Siddhi Degasat Padanguli Noke Kadakarishyasi Ham Kripakatakshabhajanam Makeshvari Kriyeshvari Swareshvari Sureshvari Trivedam Padateshvari Brahmana Shashaneshvari Rameshvari Kshameshvari Pramodakhananeshvari Brajeshvari Brajanipe Shiranike Namostute Iti Mamad Putam Stavam Nishamya Panunandini Kurotu Santatam Jandam Kripakatakshabhajanam Bhaveta Daiva Sanchita Chirupakamanashanam Bhaveta Davrajendra Sunumanala Praveshanam Kandakarishyasi Hamam Kripakatakshabhajanam Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Page 290. Darupam Sakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yasoda Vyanuka Dadavamanam Paramrishtamatyan Tatadrujagopya Purantamu Sakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Iti Diksvalila Vir Ananda Kule Swagosham Nimajantam Bhakya Payantam Varieshitaneshu Bhaktejitatam Purna Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Namam Ishwaram Sachiram Nandarupam Dasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Varam Devam Moksham Namoksham Vadim Chanyam Prineham Varishara Priham Idam Te Vapurnata Gopala Balam Sadame Manasya Vir Astam Kimanya Namameshwaram Sachirananda Rupam Rasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Itam Te Mukam Bojam Avyaktanilem Vitam Kundala Snigda Daktaishagopya Muhushtum Vitam Bimba Daktadarame Manasavirastam Alam Nakshandaba Namamishwaram Sachiranandarupam Rasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Damo Deva Damo Dharananda Vishnu Prasena Prabodhuka Jala Bimagnam Kripa Drishti Brishyati Dinam Bhatanu Grihanesha Magnam Edakshidesham Namamishwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Kuveratmajo Bada Mojai Vayadat Trayamochito Bhakti Bhajo Kritocha Jata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayacha Namokshe Griho Mesti Damodareya Namamishwaram Sachiranandarupam Nasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namaste Stundamne Spuranditi Damne Dvadiyandarayata Vishwasya Damne Namoradhikaya Dvadiya Priyaya Namonantalilaya Devaya Tuvyam Namoradhikaya Dvadiya Priyaya Namoradhikaya Dvadiya Priyaya Namonantalilaya Devaya Tuvyam Jaya Damodara Jaya Damodara Damodara Jaya Damodara Jaya Radha Damodar Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Jaya Radha Damodar Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai go to Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai go to Hari Bol. Nitai go to Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai go to Hari Bol.
Agyanam timirandasya Gyananjana salakaya Chaksuranmilitam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Todalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadavaktaya Namo Nama Yang Pravrajantam Manupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahaka Taruva Juhava. Bring his chest out. Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Banedos Tang Sarvapu Tarhridayam Munimanatosmi Bhaktya Vahina Aparada Lakshay Chiptas Jagamadi Tarangamadye Kripamaitam Sharanam Prapadyam Brinde namaste charanarvindam tavaivasmi tavaivasmi na jivami tam vina iti vigyaya radhe tam nayamam charanantike. First I offer my unlimited obeisances, Angashamalim chatabirabito mandi kritendi varam jadyam jagudarochisam begadatam patambarasya shriya. Then Vrindaranya nivasinam Ridila Sattamabhiramodaram Radhaskand Niveshito Jalabhujam Dhyayamadamodaram Dhyayamadamodaram. First I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asto to the Sat Shishimat, Shilabhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asto to the Sat Shishimat, Shilabhakti Vedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to our grandfather gurus, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, to all of his divine associates, and to all the assembled devotees, and the assembled devotees, Diksha Gurus, or my Shiksha Gurus, Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Madhav Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Bhan Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. Can you sit properly? Can you ask him to sit properly? Prabhupada used to say that all the time. Unless it hurts. Does it hurt? It's okay? Okay. So we're very lucky that we got a chance to sleep over last night in Nandagaon. And we woke up in Nandagaon, performed Mangal Artik, and now we're ready to go on Frikrama again. We're going to Krishna Kund first. Kunda means pond. This very beautiful pond, which we're now standing at the bank of, and we're offering our obeisances, rolling in the dust here, is within a dense grove of Kadamba trees. It's situated near Nandiswara Hill. Who is Nandiswara Hill? Who?
It is Shiva.
Lord Shiva. Sri Krishna used to enjoy water sports here with his friends. On the northern bank of this pond is the path he took to go cow grazing. He also used to bring his thirsty cows to drink here. Chitta Swami has described this cow grazing pastime in a very heart-touching way. The cows are in front of, behind, and on either side of Govinda, who likes to sit in their midst. He runs with the cows, takes rest with the cows, and he smears the dust of their hoofs over his body. He so much relishes the company of the cows well, we can't have blending here during the class. We can't have that machine. Okay. He so much relishes the company of the cows in Braj that he even forgets Vaikuntha. To protect the cows, he lifted Govardhan with his own hand. The Lord of Chitraswami, Giridhari Vithilesh, assumes the form of a coward boy and appears in the dynasty of the Gopas. Imagine, God himself, he has unlimited choices of how he wants to appear. And he chose being a coward boy and playing with cows, taking the dust of the cows on his body. You know why he's so grateful to the cows? Because they enable him to leave home and go to the forest and meet with the gopis. When Uddhav arrived in Nandagaon, he spent the entire night consoling Nanda and Yashoda at Nanda Bhavan. In the early hours before dawn, he came to this very pond where we are now, bathed, and sat down on the southern bank to recite his morning mantras. So before going further, we want to do Achman here. Not only Krishna's cows and Krishna, but Uddhav also came from Mathura and bathed here. And then let's jump in, swim around, come out, dry off. And Krishna sat here in the middle of all the cows. At that time, Uddhav saw the gopis who were hiding in the Kadamba grove nearby. And after completing his mantras, he went there to meet them. A short way from here is called Chacha Kund or Jagadaki Kund. So right by Krishna Kund is the place where Krishna and the Sakas used to beg the gopis for buttermilk. Buttermilk was called chach. The gopis would offer them this buttermilk with love. Sometimes the boys used to fight and quarrel. That's called jagadana. Among themselves saying, let me have some first. Let me have some first. So everything they loved about the cows, including their buttermilk. Because this childhood pastime took place here, the name of this pond, where we're doing Achman now, and jumping in, jumping out, is called Chach Kund. And then Surya Kund is so important. On the right-hand side of the highway, here, Surya Narayan, the sun god, became restless after having darshan of Krishna's exquisite threefold bending form and forgot to move. The sun moves on an orbit. The sun completely forgot. There's so many kunds here. So let's dive into Surya Kund, swim around, do Achman. Are you going to be the Pandit today, Vasanti? Well, we're already at Surya Kund. And here we are at Surya Kund.
You said you need a driver.
No, I said we need a panda. It's showing us the places. And right next door is the lush green forest and another very attractive pond. We're getting lots of swimming today, lots of Achman. This is Lalita Devi's bathing place. Sometimes Lalita employed some cunning to bring Radhika here to meet with Krishna. This pond is situated east of Nandagaon. Once, Krishna warned Srimati Radhika to be cautious of Narada. Devarshi Narada is a sage whose nature is very complicated, he said. Sometimes he likes to cause disputes between father and son, mother and father, or husband and wife. It's best to always be cautious of him. But Srimati Radhika did not take particular heed to Krishna's words. And so it happened that one day Lalita picked Bailey, Chameli, and other flowers from the forest and began to string a beautiful garland for Krishna. But you know how everyone in Vrindavan is completely mad, intoxicated. So after completing it, she discarded it and began to string a new garland. And she repeated this several times. It's like she had all the time in the world. Because every moment is new and eternal. So they're not in a hurry to do something else unless the hurry is important for the pastime. Everything depends on the mood of the pastime. She repeated this action several times. Narada was hiding behind some trees, and he was watching this intriguing scene. He approached Lalita, and asked her about her unusual behavior. Lalita said, "Well, every time I complete the garland, I feel that it's either too short or too long. That's why I keep starting over again." So then mischievous Narada suggested, "Krishna's playing right nearby. Why don't you go make him sit beside you and string your garland by measuring it against him?" Lalita agreed and called for Krishna. She strung a beautiful garland for him that was just the right size and placed it around his neck. They then waited for Radha, who had earlier asked Lalita to make the garland, telling her that she would be there soon. However, Radhika was delayed, and the Sakis who were busy decorating her, just like Radha and Krishna were delayed because of their Saki, Sarada, who was busy decorating them. Well, that's how it goes in the spiritual world too. But it's all for pastime, because something had to happen. What was that? Do you know, Jagannath? Well, previously, Krishna had promised Narada to give him darshan of him swinging with Lalita. And now Narada reminded Krishna of his promise. And he repeatedly requested him to sit with Lalita on his swing. Thing is, they're all waiting for Radhika to be on the swing with Krishna. But Narada said, "You promised, now you have to show me." So they both sat down and swung back and forth as they waited for Radhika. In the meantime, Narada went to Radhika singing, "All glories to Lalita Krishna, all glories to Lalita Krishna." Radhika respectfully greeted Narada and inquired, "Narada, today you're very happily singing the glories of Lalita and Krishna. It seems that you have some astonishing news. What is it?" So Narada smiled. "Ah, what a beautiful scene. Krishna, wearing a beautiful garland of forest flowers, is swinging with Lalita. If you don't believe me, then go there and see for yourself." She didn't believe him, but still she went there. How could he possibly be swinging with Lalita in my absence? She thought, but from afar she could see it. She angrily returned to her kunj and sat down, deeply immersed in a sulky mood. Having waited a long time for Radhika, Krishna finally went to look for her. He told her about Narada's activities and how it came to pass that he was swinging with Lalita, and thus somehow pacified her mind. He took her to the swing, and Lalita and Vishaka pushed them back and forth. This sweet pastime took place here, Narada Kund, and the place where Lalita and Krishna swung lie near this pond. So let's jump in here, get Lalita's association, because she used to swim here. And she still does, but we just can't see. Stand. Now we're going to the most important place. We're going to Kadamba Kyari, more popularly known as Uddhav Kyari. And it's also by the Kunj of Vishaka. Uddhav Kyari is situated a short distance from Lalita Kund. Actually, this is the Kunja of Lalita, and Vishaka Kund, it's the Kunja of Vishaka. And Vishaka Kund, what's the difference between a Kund and a Kunj? Huh? Kund is a pond, and Kunj is a secluded grove. Vishaka used to arrange meetings with Radha and Krishna here. Sometimes Krishna also used to perform the rasa dance with Radhika and her friends. There is a platform here reminding us of that pastime. After Krishna's departure to Mathura, all of Braj drowned in an ocean of separation from him. What to speak of the gopas and gopis? Even the birds and animals gave up eating and drinking, feeling distressed by the separation of Krishna. Krishna's beloved gopis followed Akrura's chariot to this very point and then fell to the ground unconscious. They never returned to their home again. And when the chariot wheels and horses, they blew up the dust from the ground. And so the dust got all over the gopis' bodies, clothing. And then they were weeping incessantly, so that the dust from the horses and chariot mixed with the tears created a kind of mud that was all over them. And they didn't want to get rid of that mud because it was the last moment that they saw Krishna. So they didn't do anything. They just kept the same clothes, lie down, and never went home. Grievously afflicted by separation, Radhika stayed in this dense forest in seclusion. So this is all part of Nandagam. Remaining on the verge of death. At that time, Krishna's messenger Uddhav came here to console the gopis. But upon seeing Radhika in that state of separation, he paid his respects from afar. He didn't feel qualified to go close. And he was unable to say anything. He was so astonished. Acutely afflicted by separation, Radhika saw a bumblebee and thought it to be Krishna's messenger. So in the state of Divyonmad is a state of like insanity, where she starts talking to the bumblebee, thinking the bumblebee is Uddhav. And then she has all kinds of conversations. And then she thinks that, because she was criticizing Krishna, can you please sway back and forth? Then she was criticizing Krishna to the bumblebee. And Then she thought. Then the bumblebee disappeared, and then she thought the bumblebee went all the way back to Mathura and told Krishna what she said. So now she felt really humble. But actually, that bee, Gurudev said, was Krishna himself coming in the form of a bee to taste her madness in separation. She engaged in all kinds of crazy talks, like Chitra Jalpa, Prajalpa, Jalpa. There are 10 kinds, and they're all described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sometimes she gave the bee instructions. Sometimes she paid the bee respects. Sometimes she inquired of the bee about Krishna's well-being. Uddhava was amazed to see and hear all this. He had come as a teacher to give them instructions, but then he became the student. But even though he was the student, he couldn't enter into the university. He didn't, you know how you have to have an entrance exam? He couldn't pass the entrance exam. It was 85, but he couldn't make it. Radhika was the principal, and the, what's the next one down? Vice principal or? Yeah, it's not teachers, it's something higher than that. But he came to console the gopis, and he relayed some of Krishna's message, but that only made them feel worse. And then, in fact, there's that place called Gyan Gudadi. So when they got Krishna's message about how Krishna's God, and if you just think of him, because he's everywhere, then you'll be happy. So this Gyan about Krishna's opulence, they ripped it up and they threw it in the Jamuna, and it sailed down the Jamuna and went into the ocean. Can you do that there? Right there, next to Prabhupada and Gurudev.
I'm wondering why Krishna did this, because I'm thinking about how in the Ras Lila he left them and put them into a mood of separation intentionally to increase their prem for him to the highest level. So he's already done that. So why is he now doing this separation?
Well, what is the highest level in Braj? There's no highest level. She's already in Madhanakya Mahabhav, but that Madhanakya Mahabhav increases unlimitedly forever. And how does it increase? As Srila Gurudev quoted, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, it begins here, in this world, when we have that feeling of separation. If by our bhajan, or chanting, reading, we get the very slightest taste of meeting, then separation starts, slight. And that slight separation gives us increased meeting, which gives us increased, and that increases to Goloka Vrindavan, but it never stops. There's no highest level. So there has to be repeatedly, endlessly meeting and separation. So leaving the rasa dance is one kind, then leaving Vrindavan is another kind. Mm-hmm.
It just seems so extreme.
And that also has extreme, doesn't it?
Yeah, for him to leave, I mean...
But the very nature of separation is that it can walk over the head of meeting, because there's a very intense internal meeting in various ways. There's meeting by remembering. But like if I remember something that happened yesterday, it stays with yesterday. But if the gopis remember what happened with Krishna, it's happening right now. Just by them thinking about it, it's happening all over again. And there's another kind, which is a sporty, where Krishna, sometimes he comes, when somebody's already a siddha, he comes to them in their separation from Mathura, just like when Sachi Mata was cooking for Gauranga Mahaprabhu, her son, and he was in Jagannath Puri, and she was in Navadvip. And so she would be cooking, and then he would go all the way from Puri to Navadvip to eat her prasadam. But then when she saw that the plate was empty, she thought, "Oh, I think I forgot to cook." So she'd cook again. So everyone is mad. All the Siddha Mahapurushas in Goloka are all mad. Mad in meeting, mad in separation. So then she would cook again and again. So Mahaprabhu told, I think it was Damodar Pandit, who was coming to Navadvip, "Tell Mother that I really go there. She thinks what she's seeing when she's seeing me honoring her prasadam, she thinks it's a spurti or a vision. But no, tell her I really go there." Similarly, the associates of Krishna, when they're feeling separation, Krishna really comes to them, or they experience what's called a sporti. Up till Prem, we will experience, not from where we are, but from where above Bhakta, Raganuga Bhakta is. We'll experience sportis. But when you're already an associate, you experience a sporti, which means you're just seeing Krishna everywhere you look. So, does that answer the question? Not really.
No,
it's because
it's because I'm only on the
No,
bodily
no.
platform. I
The
can't
thing is
see it on
that
the bodily
the
platform.
thing is, you're having the same problem that Uddhava had, but on a much deeper level.
Oh, cool.
That is, when they were seeing, they were astonished by. He was astonished by their love and separation, but he thought, "What suffering! I could never go through that." So he had to go back to Mathura. He was able to glorify the gopis and pacify Krishna to some extent, but then of course his separation in thinking about them increases as well. But he had to go back. He could not enter the university really and understand what is what is prem. And as you said, you're experiencing the problem on a much deeper level. That is, we're on the bodily platform. So, like if I was like that, I would be miserable. So they must be miserable too. Understand? So it actually increases their pleasure when they feel that kind of separation. So they said to him, "Uddhava, we do not each have 10 or 20 hearts. We have only one, which has now gone away with Sham. With which heart shall we now worship God?" They also said, "Uddhav, how can we perform yoga when Sham already pervades every particle of our bodies?" In the end, Uddhav desired to take birth in Braj in the form of a small bush, because he couldn't qualify to be a gopi. So he wanted to be a small bush, so that whenever the gopis would go out at night to meet with Krishna, the dust of their feet would fall on their head, on his head. And therefore he sang, "Asamaho charanarenu jusam aham sham brindabhane kemapi gulma lasot sadinam yadustajam swajanamarya putancha hitva Pejoramakund Padavim Shutabir Vimrigyam. That's in the 47th chapter of 10th canto. If I become a shrub, creeper, or medicinal herb here in Vrindavan, it will be my great fortune. I shall then be able to serve the dust of these gopis' feet and will be blessed by the bathing of their foot dust. These gopis are the most fortunate of all. They have given up those things that are extremely difficult to renounce, like what? Relatives, religious principles prescribed in the Vedas, and acceptable good conduct. We easily give up acceptable good conduct, but not for Krishna. We don't enter into transcendence. Having become completely absorbed in Krishna, they have obtained his supreme prem and become as worshipable as he is. And then one other verse that's very famous. Bande Nanda Brajastrinam Padarenam Abhishnasa Jasam Harikato Gitam Punati Bhuvanashrayam. I bow down to the dust of the feet of the gopis residing in Nanda Baba's Braj. Oh, whatever these gopis have sung about Krishna's pastimes is purifying the whole world, see? It has a benefit for everyone, not only for them. And all continue and will continue to purify the universe. These songs of separation, like, Venu Geet, Gopi Geet. This pastime place is filled with the ras of topmost meeting, Mahasambhog, and at the same time it's filled with the ras of the highest degree of separation, Vipralamba. Vipralamba means separation. But within the word Vipralamba is what?
Meeting.
Pralamba, meeting. And V means a special kind of meeting. Gurudev said, if there is not a special kind of meeting, like Viraha Mahotsav, the festival of separation from the pure devotee. Raha also means meeting. Viraha means a special kind of meeting. So Gurudev said in his Valapakus Manjali lectures that if there's not meeting when one is experiencing Vipralamba, then it's not Vipralamba. It's just very dangerous. Means I'm just a fallen soul. Okay. So we're taking darshan here. The life of a sadhak becomes successful by taking darshan and touching this place. So let's touch the dust to our head, heart, tongue, and eyelids. So that one day we can get darshan from our eyes. And now we're going to the last place in Nandagaon, and that is Purnamasi's cave. On. Nothing like magnified gulps. Okay. So we've just arrived at the pond and cottage of Purnamasi. At the time of Krishna's pastimes, she lived in this very secluded place where we're offering our obeisance to right now. This very place, the guru of everyone, who controls everyone in Braj. Not only Braj, but everywhere, in all of Krishna's abodes. The expansion of Yogamaya in Dwarka is Subhadra, Krishna's sister. So she lived in this secluded place, away from the village, as an old ascetic wearing saffron cloth. Nanda and the other Brajbasis had great respect for her and took her blessings before undertaking any important activity. Before coming to Braj, she lived in Avantipur with her husband and her son. Her son is Madhumangal and her daughter is Nandimukhi. Yes, the very same Madhumangal. And her husband is Sandipani Muni. Krishna's, her son is Sandipani Muni and her grandson is Madhumangal. Yes, that's how it goes. Purnamasi came to Nandagaon before Krishna's birth with her grandson Madhumangal and granddaughter Nandimukhi. Nandimukhi is a gopi, and but she's not a gopi. She's not a Manjari gopi. She's not a gopi who loves to have intimate association with Krishna. She just helps out like the Nista from the Nandagaon side, from the Mother Yasoda side. I mean, Mother Yasoda doesn't know what she's doing, but she's one of those kinds of, there are 5 kinds of sakis. She's just called plain saki. So every morning, she came to Nanda Bhavan to see Krishna when he would first wake up and bless him. In Krishna's manifest pastimes, she is Narada's disciple. So Narada's disciple is, you'd figure, Narada's disciple is Purnamasi. Her son is Sandipani Muni, who became Krishna's teacher when he went to Ujjain. Devaki and Vasudeva sent him there to learn the 64 arts so that he would forget Braj, but he didn't. Because when he came back, that's when he sat at the roof of his palace and looked over to Braj and could see everyone dying without him. And that's when he sent Uddhava to Braj. So, I mean, even there in the spiritual world, plans fail. Even Krishna's plans fail. He left Vrindavan to make the gopis more happy because he saw how in so many instances when Krishna was there, they would think he's not there, Radharani especially. And when he's not there, Radharani talks to the cloud or talks to a tree, thinking that it's Krishna, and so she's happy. So he thought, well, if I leave altogether, then they'll really become happy. But no, it became worse. She is the personification of Krishna's collective pastime potency, called samasta. Samasti means all collected together. Leela Shakti means pastime potency. So if you were to take all of Krishna's pastimes and then make a shape, that would be Purnamasi. So that belongs to the Swarup Shakti. That's because she's an expansion of Radharani. And she nourishes all the divine couples' pastimes. And we might as well go to her granddaughter's house. Who is her granddaughter? Nandimukhi. Near Purnamasi's cave is the place of the residence of Nandimukhi, the granddaughter of Purnamasi, who also supports and nourishes Krishna's pastimes in various ways. And there was our parikrama. So Nandagaon ki jai. So now today is Gopastami. So we're celebrating Gopastami, as you notice. Radharani has a calf on her arms. You know why? Because Krishna was feeling intense separation from Radharani. And so he sent Subal to let him know, let Radharani know how he's suffering without her. So she was in Man, as happens, and then Subal, he pacified her, and then she agreed to go out and meet Krishna. But when Subal was coming to her palace, Jatila was sitting there. "What are you doing here?" Krishna's friend. "Mother, I lost my calf, so I'm just looking around to see if he's here." "Oh, really? You think your calf is here?" "Yes, Mother, he ran in this direction." "All right, well, go look for him and hurry back." So meanwhile, he snuck into Radharani's room, and he told her of Krishna's great suffering. She said, "Well, how am I going to leave? Because she'll see me leave." So it just so happened that Subal and Radharani look very much similar, even though he's a boy and she's a girl. And so he said, "Okay, let's change clothes. Let's exchange clothes." So then she put on Subal's cowherd outfit, and he figured out some other way to sneak out. And she was holding a calf across her chest so that you couldn't see that she had breasts. So Jatila said, "Okay, I see you found your calf. You can go." So then she came out, and then she went to the place where Subal directed, where Krishna was playing with his friends. And then when Krishna saw her, he thought she was Subal, because she still had the calf in her arms. And he was just about dying, because Radharani Subal said she couldn't come out. I couldn't get her to come out. And he's just about to die, to faint, when she goes, "It's me." And Krishna became so happy. And then they performed many pastimes together. So today is Gopastami, celebrating that day. It's the only day when we get to see Radharani's lotus feet, and they are manifesting soon. Because since Radharani was always wearing a long dress, we never took heed of what her feet look like. So now she's gradually manifesting her lotus feet. So we're now going to be hearing, we're welcoming Shri Srimad Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj to our midst. And he's going to be selling, let's offer obeisances to him. And he's going to be telling us what is Gopastami. Actually, today is a few important days, which we'll come to gradually today. When Krishna was 5 years old, he was sent to graze calves. So that happened to be, when he was 5, that happened to be the year, when he was 5 years old, that Brahma stole the calves and cowherd boys. So they weren't around. So Krishna, in order not to make their mothers worry, in order to fulfill the desires of the young gopis, the elderly gopis, who wanted to feed Krishna personally with the same amount of time that Mother Yasoda gets. Please stand. He expanded himself as all the cowherd boys and all the calves. Can you imagine? Each calf was an individual with an individual nature, individual moo, and he became everybody, individual like designs on their body. And all the cows, all the cowherd boys, like the bugles, or their flutes, or their ornaments, their voices, their natures, everything Krishna became. Because really everybody's Krishna in the first place, so it wasn't too difficult for him. So that went on for a year. And now he's 6. Or he reached his Paganda age, which is 6 to 10, but now he's 6. So when he's 6, that's the time to start grazing the cows. Up to this point, he was grazing the calves. So you all know how he grazed everybody. Like the mothers, they wanted Krishna to be their son because they always loved Krishna more than their sons. And so now they loved their sons as much as they loved Krishna because their sons were Krishna. And the cows wanted to feed Krishna from their udder. And so Krishna became the calves. And the young gopis wanted Krishna to be their husband or beloved. And so in that year, everyone was betrothed to the husband, the girl or the boy. So Maharaj said that the calves, the calves and the cows, they're in neutral rus out of the 5 rasas. And so that means that there's 2 qualities of neutral ras. One is unflinching faith in the absolute truth and complete detachment from sense gratification. But that's not a very high level. So the calves and cows in Vrindavan, Srila Gurudev said, do not have pure neutral ras. Their ras is mixed because they're in so much rapture. When they hear Krishna's flute, they can't even continue chewing their grass. It just hangs. And they awestruck, and they take their ears pop up like cups, and they take Krishna's form and his flute sound into their hearts and embrace him there. And we've heard how Krishna embraces the calves and cows, puts their dust on his body. So this is not neutral ras. It's mixed with the other rasas, like motherly or friendship. The rapture is there. So Krishna, who is the fulfiller of spiritual desires of his devotees, bewildered Brahma, who stole the calves and the cowherd boys, and he hid them in a cave in Mount Sumeru. Mount Sumeru is a mountain that goes from the bottom of the earth through the earth like an ice cream cone and is bigger on the top, and it goes all the way to the heavenly planets. So Brahma stole the calves and cowherd boys and put them in the cave. And then he came back to see the fun, but he saw that they were still there. And then he went back to the cave and he saw that they were still there. Because, Brahma has, anyway, he has 4 faces. So he could see this way and that way. Couldn't figure it out. Yeah, I can't figure out what to do with this. I need a new thing. Because it always goes in here and it goes all over the place. That's why I have to keep playing with it and putting it down. So I'm having a hard time. Just to let anyone in the world know. Unless...
Charlie Chaplin is not better.
What?
The Charlie Chaplin one's not a better option?
No. Maybe this can be, somebody can twist it so that it'll be fine. Because it's a very good mic. It just flips all over the place. All right, so then Brahma went back to his own abode, Brahmaloka, but Krishna beat him to it. Like he was just bewildered. So he went back to his own abode, Brahmaloka. But Krishna beat him to it and told Brahma's servants that, as you can see, I'm the real Brahma, but a fake one is coming, an imposter. So don't let him in. So when Brahma came to the gateway, they just threw him out. He was really bewildered. And so he went into trance to see what happened. Then he realized what happened. He became very repentant. So he went back to Krishna and made his 4 helmets bow down at Krishna's feet. And that's when he sang his song of apology and glorification, which is the 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 13th chapter, he realized his mistake and bowed down. And then he stood up and he saw that all the Krishnas, all the boys, were actually Narayan forms. They all took the form of the Narayan. And not only the boys, but the calves also took the form of Narayan. So then he just apologized. He did the whole thing because he wanted to see more astonishing pastimes of Krishna, but he did it in the wrong way. And why did he do it in the wrong way if he's our Adi Guru? It's because Yogamaya, Krishna sent Yogamaya to bewilder him so that he could fulfill the desires of the young and old gopis and the cows. Nothing happens without Krishna. And he's actually a devotee of Lord Narayan as well. So he said, while he was in such a puzzled state, Krishna, by his mercy, transformed all the calves and cowherd boys into their 4-handed Narayan forms. Brahma took birth from the navel of 4-armed Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and so he realized all of these calves and cowherd boys are my originator. They are of the same substance from whom I was born. That's when he sang Krishna's glories in his Brahma Stuti prayers. And there Brahma sang Nomi in his prayer of glorification, meaning I offer my obeisances, no me dya. I offer my obeisances to you. You are my worshipful Lord. Okay, then Krishna said, what are you talking about? I'm just a cowherd boy. Your master is the 4-armed Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Narayan. And Brahma replied, you. Now this is very important. Do you remember when we were studying the 2nd chapter of Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita as one of the proofs that Krishna is not an incarnation of Narayan, but Narayan, can you stand please? But Narayan is an incarnation of Krishna, and Krishna is the origin. So we read this very important evidence. What are you talking about? I'm just a cowherd boy. Your Lord is Narayan. So Brahma said, you are the original Narayan. By your grace, you have given me this information. My Prabhu, you yourself are all the cowherd boys and calves. In this way, Brahma glorified Krishna. The point is, unless one is graced by Bhagavan with knowledge, one cannot know him. Does anybody remember that verse? Even if one is the great scholar, orator, hearer of the scriptures, he can't know me unless I reveal myself to him. No one can see my form. So then Maharaj continued, today is Go Pujana Day. It is a prescribed ritual to offer grass to the cows. Can you get the cow, Santi, there? We're all going to offer grass to the cow. I'm going to be first. No. Yeah. Not that we're not offering grass to the calves. We're offering to the cow.
Let's go take a field trip to Homestead.
Okay, now everybody gets to feed the cow grass. Now we're following the ritual. This service has been included in the 64 limbs of devotional service outlined by Lord Chaitanya to Srila Rupa Goswami.
It's the day where we feed grass to cows. So now we pretend.
Pretend.
With
You
our
may
heart,
pretend.
With our heart, with our heart, with our heart, with our heart, with our heart.
So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's listing the 64 limbs of bhakti. That one must respect the fig tree and the myrobalan tree. I think another name for people is the holy fig tree. It is mentioned in the Skanda Purana that sins of men are washed away by the holy people or fig tree. Do you all water the people tree every day? Yes, 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 no. You can teach him? Okay. You know the mantra? Yeah.
Haridas repeated it to me the other day. I don't know it by heart, but
It's really simple. It's Vibhuti people to Krishna Vibhuti people to Vyam Snapayami.
Could you repeat that one more time?
Krishna Vibhuti people to Vyam Snapayami. That came from Sripad Madhav Maharaj. So one must sins. It's mentioned in the Skanda Purana that sins of men are washed away if we worship the holy fig tree, the tulsi. Of course, tulsi is much more important. The cow, the brahmanas, and the Vaishnavas. If they are worshipped, bowed down to, and meditated upon, yeah, that's the verse. Out of those, of course, the tulsi is first. So Maharaj said, so therefore we have planted the aswata tree or people tree in front of the Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in Chandigarh. So then he tells the story of that I told about Subal and Radharani switching outfits. So then now Maharaj tells about the present day celebration. Today in Braj, the villagers dress two boys as Krishna and Balaram, and they are taken behind the cows to depict the pastimes of Krishna. In Mathura, a beautiful procession follows, and they perform worship of cows by offering them their favorite foods, like green grass and jaggery. You know jaggery? Hmm? No, you had prasadam last night? You had the sweet rice? You didn't have any? Oh, I thought you had it first. There's still some sweet rice left, right? It was all finished. Gee whiz. Anyway, she'll make it again. But generally sweet rice is made with sugar. This is made with jaggery, which is unrefined sugar, like the most unrefined that you can get. Okay, Gopastami Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai. So today is also the appearance day of Sri. What? Oh, Sri Gadadhar, not Pandit, but Gadadhar Das Goswami. Gadadhar Das is a disciple, two different personalities, is a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani herself, who came in the male form as the chief assistant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in teaching him how to play her part. Because he came to play Radharani's part, to feel her moods, to faint like her, to weep like her. But still he needed some help. And so Radharani came as Gadadhar Pandit, and she brought her two friends, Lalita, who came as Swarup Damodar, and she also brought Vishaka, who came as Ramananda Rai. And they all helped Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste her mood. Ramananda Rai mostly in Godavari, and Swarup Damodar everywhere. But also in Puri, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai were there in the Gambhira with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, helping him out, reciting appropriate slokas, writing appropriate slokas. What?
Oh, there's 3 disappearing today.
3 disappearance, yes?
Yeah.
Who? Gadadhar Das, Srinivasacharya, and Dhananjaya Pandit. Right? Srinivas, Dhananjaya Pandit, and Gadadhar Das. Thank you. So just as Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radhika herself, so Gadadhar Das is the effulgence of Radharani. That's why that verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita states, what is that verse where, Vasanti, can you help me out? Is it the Anarbita Charing Charat verse? Let me try. Anarbita Charing Charat. Kurnayan Kirnala, Parpaitama, Total, Savidi, Porta Sanam, Divikatam, Nah, that's not the right one.
The one soul is becoming two bodies, but then they're back.
What's the last line there?
They're back together. They're one again.
I know, but what's the last line in Sanskrit? Anyway, the English is, so I worship Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna, covered by the effulgence and mood of Srimati Radhika. So that effulgence is Gadadhar Das. So he's also a gopi in Krishna Lila. So Maharaj is continuing. He made even the most disobliging people chant Krishna's name. This was his glory. The Muslim administrator, the Qazi, was antagonistic to religion, and he was very cruel. One evening, Gadadhar Das fearlessly visited his residence and asked him to chant Harinam. Intimidated, the Qazi promised, I will chant Hari's name tomorrow. So then Gadadhar Das responded, you have just uttered his name just now. Where is the question of tomorrow? So he was preaching alongside of Nityananda Prabhu. So he was in Sakiras, but later he became in Madhurya Ras. Became doesn't mean became. It means that sometimes he's in the mood of Sakiras, sometimes in the mood of Madhurya Ras. Depending on the service to be rendered. Just like Balaram or Nityananda Prabhu, He can be in any of the four rasas, depending on the service that needed to be rendered, right? He could be the land, he could be a Nangamanjari, he could be the elder brother. Without Nityananda's mercy, Balaram's mercy, any advancement in bhakti is impossible because he is the existence, he's the personification of the existence potency of Krishna, Sat, Chidananda. Krishna's Chit, Radharani's Ananda, but he's Sat, means existence. Without existence, can you exist? So Radha and Krishna stand, sit, play on existence. And that's on the Sat potency. So no advancement exists without Nityananda Balaram's mercy. So today's also the disappearance day of Sri Dhananjaya Pandit. Whatever inheritance he received, he gave to Mahaprabhu. And rather, even though he received an inheritance, rather he accepted a begging bowl in his hand. Thus he is known as Maha Vairagya Van. Van means one who is the great renunciate. So in Vaishnava Vandan, his glories are sung by the words Savasya Prabode Diyabana Hate Lai. So, of course, there's Srinivasacharya. So Srinivasacharya's father, Chaitanya Das, was very renounced. He really wasn't interested in having a child, although he had a wife. So Mahaprabhu told him, you have to beget a son, and that son will be a manifestation of me. And so Srinivas was born, extremely beautiful naturally, and he grew up hearing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes from his father. He reached a certain point of his life where he was ready to leave home and go find Mahaprabhu. So he went to Puri, and he saw on his way, he was almost there, but he saw that the people were coming from Puri very sad. They were sad because Mahaprabhu had just left. You can imagine his devastation. And then he went to take shelter of Gadadhar Pandit. And then he met Gadadhar Pandit, but then Gadadhar Pandit sent him to meet Nityananda Prabhu, who had just left. And then he went back to Gadadhar Pandit, who had just left. Then he went to Rupa and Sanatan in Mathura, who had just left. And by the time he got to Vrindavan, because he was told in his heart to meet Jiva Goswami and take initiation from Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are also completely full of tears. But in the meantime, every time somebody left, he was ready to kill himself. He was ripping open his chest, pulling out his hair. And one time he was ready to jump in the fire, and Mahaprabhu had to appear to him in a dream and tell him not to. But he told him where to go. Told him to go to Mathura, Vrindavan. And so Jiva Goswami also heard from Mahaprabhu that you'll find a devotee sitting at Radha Damodar in the corner weeping. So that's going to be Srinivas. Take him, train him, and give him to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was also like full of tears. But that all happened by the because these pure devotees, they hear directly from the Lord what to do and what not to do. So then he studied, he was one of the three Prabhutraya, Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur ki jai, Shyamananda Srinivas Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. So he's one of the Prabhutraya. Traya, of course, means three. And he's the one who wrote the, he also was at the Khetri festival with Narottam Das Thakur, when he was playing his mridanga, and his mridanga actually sang Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. You're going to be able to do that soon, Garagoja? You can pray to Narottam. You can pray to Narottam that you become so advanced that the Panchatattva manifests. Okay. But make sure we're there when that happens. Okay. Yes, so he was there at the Khetri festival, and he was the one who did the puja. And he's also the one who wrote the Sad Goswami Astakam. So let's sing that Sad Goswami Astakam. What? It's full of deep meaning. And then we'll end with that. We'll sing it together and pray to go deeply into it. Should we read just the English, Vasanti, so everybody
Guru
can know?
Devi. Jagadananda Pandit has 2 questions.
What?
What spiritual message did Krishna want to convey by playing his flute?
What spiritual message did Krishna want to convey by playing his flute?
Yes.
Well, it depends on who he's playing his flute for. When he's playing his flute for the gopis, it's come on, leave your homes, leave your husbands, leave the kids that you're babysitting for and come, let's dance. When he's playing it when Radharani's angry, he's trying to win her over. Then he also plays his flute for the cows to put them in rapture. And when they have to come home, he collects them by playing his flute. He calls them all the millions of cows together. And he's calling us all. He's calling the gopis for Rasa Leela. He plays the flute when he's with the coward boys, so they all play instruments with him. And I mentioned that when the cows hear his flute, their ears become like cups. And he's calling us all to get out of Maya.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
What is the greatest relationship between Shiva and Krishna?
What is the what?
What is the greatest relationship the greatest
what?
relationship?
Greatest.
Who's the greatest? Krishna.
What is the greatest
Relationship between
What is
Shiva
the
and
greatest
What is the greatest relationship? So there are many relationships that Krishna has with Lord Shiva. Can you read English?
We have it in French.
We do?
We have Shiva Tapa.
Oh, great. Read Shiva Tattva in French. And that book describes all the various relationships.
I'm waiting Shiva Tatwa.
What?
I'm waiting Shiva Tatwa.
You are?
Shiva Tatwa.
Well, you'll find it there. I think it's the 3rd chapter. It talks about the different Lord Shiva as a tattva, or how he helps Krishna in the creation, and annihilation, and then also how he serves Krishna in his personal pastimes, how he's fully dependent on Krishna in Krishna's pastimes and Shiva's pastimes, and how he even plays a role as a servant of Krishna, but a role that Krishna worships him, like when he wanted to get a son from his wife Jambavati, he worshipped Krishna. But that's, Lord Shiva is still a servant, but he's playing that role for Krishna. Comprend?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Haribol.
So read that third chapter, it's all there.
Okay.
What? Yes, that's a very good idea. Did you hear that, Vasanti? Okay, good. Vasanti's happy. Did you put that thought in Haridas? Okay, so Gopastami Titiki Jai, Dhananjaya Pandit, Srinivasacharya, Gadadhar Das, Tirubhav Titi Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai.
Jai.
Brajmandala Prikrama Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nandagaon Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanandi.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nitai
Gaura
Gaura
Haribol, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribol.
Nitai Gaura
Haribol, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribol. Oh, Premanandi.
But the most intimate relationship is in Lord Shiva's original form as Gopi Swara, Mahadev, and the protector of the rasa dance. You can also read that in one of the footnotes of Shiva Tattva. Gaur Premanandi.
Haribol.
So today is the second day
Wait,